word radiation typically carries a negative connotation. However, some people may be surprised to know that we all encounter radiation in many areas of our everyday lives. The best example of this is sunlight. While not all radiation is harmful, there are some forms of energy that can cause serious damage if not controlled. Interestingly, the discoveries of radiation and radioactivity were somewhat of an accident.
In 1895, William Conrad Röntgen, a German physics professor, was continuing his work with cathode rays and their effects. He did this by passing electric currents through gases at very low pressures. One day, he noticed that certain rays were being emitted during the passing of the electric current. He decided to carry out experiments in a completely dark room with a well-covered discharge tube. To his surprise, his screen began to fluoresce even though it was 2 meters away from the discharge tube. He called these new rays X-rays due to their unknown nature. Further experiments allowed Röntgen to develop the first X-ray of his wife's hand. He concluded that X-ray beams are produced by the impact of the cathode rays on objects.
Inspired by the findings of Röntgen, French physicist Antoine-Henri Becquerel began looking for a connection between phosphorescence and X-rays. His hypothesis was that the uranium salts that he had been studying would absorb sunlight and re-emit it as X-rays. In order to test this, he wrapped photographic plates in black paper, which blocked out sunlight. He placed the plates in sunlight, and after development, he could see the outlines of the crystals. He used this result as evidence that his hypothesis was correct and put his salts and plates in a drawer. To his surprise, when he opened the drawer later, the images of the crystals were perfectly clear when he had expected a weak image. He concluded that his initial hypothesis was actually incorrect. The uranium salts emitted radiation without any stimulation from sunlight. In other words, the uranium itself was emitting radiation. Another difference between Becquerel's rays and Röntgen's X-rays was that Becquerel's could be deflected by electric or magnetic fields. Without meaning to, Becquerel had discovered radioactivity.
In 1898, Polish physicist Marie Curie and her husband Pierre Curie began studying the uranium rays. Her goal was to discover a way to make precise radiation measurements. She discovered that the more uranium there is, the greater the strength in radiation. After experimenting on all other elements, she discovered that thorium also exhibits similar behavior. She even discovered 2 new elements named radium and polonium. The results of the experiments led the Curies to conclude that high-energy radiation can destroy living cells or cause burns. However, they also discovered that radiation could be used to treat cancer and skin ulcers. They developed methods for treating the disease with radiation therapy. For her efforts, Marie Curie was awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1911. Unfortunately, she developed aplastic anemia, which was a result of extended exposure to radioactivity, and died in 1934.
While radiation and radioactive materials can be incredibly dangerous if not controlled, we have found ways to take advantage of the benefits of radiation. This is seen specifically within the medical field with X-rays and cardiology. There are also connections to public safety. What began as an accidental discovery evolved into a potentially life-saving breakthrough in science.